Are up and about early morning at 8:01 a.m. And today we're going to go this 22-minute meeting. I'm really going to take only 22 minutes, but it's going to be a really important topic that I personally love. But there are a lot of misconceptions around this topic on self-discipline. But I'm not going to speak about self-discipline only. I'm going to speak about habits today. And I had sent out a teaser to the community labeling this talk today as no self-discipline needed. And I'm going to explain what that actually means, because we all know that people who are self-disciplined and we look at as being self-disciplined are in a better place than people who are not self-disciplined. But I'm going to explain that statement of why no self-discipline is needed. It's needed initially. It takes self-discipline to start a new behavior. It takes self-discipline to start to set a new behavior. But to maintain a behavior, you actually cannot rely on self-discipline alone. You need to make it a habit, because self-discipline is something that people don't really understand. Self-discipline is like a muscle. If I go to the gym and I exercise, very hard, one body part, one muscle, that muscle part will get tired after some time, and I will not be able to push as hard. And at some point, it will be exhausted. And that's exactly how self-discipline works. It is like a muscle that actually gets tired. And that's why you can start off a day with the best of intentions. And as you progress through the day, you get to a point that you just like, I just can't do it anymore. And you fall back into the old behavior. So we are going to speak about habit formation today. And I got only 20 minutes to do this, but I'm going to give you some principles, and that can be a start of a process that can probably lead you to really good choices in life. Now we are already having 150 people on this call early morning at 8 a.m. I'm impressed with that self-discipline to get up early. And I know many people have already finished their exercise by now. And very often when we look at people are disciplined, like you can think about someone who is disciplined. It could be a person in sports. It could be a person who is a successful businessman. It could be even your child who is preparing for 10th standard and has a clear goal with that. But when you look at someone who has got a lot of self-discipline, we can always look at that person and we almost are in awe of why a person can be so disciplined. For example, today, it's 8 o'clock in the morning now, and we are all, part of this 4 for Life community, and we are kind of working together as a team to set new habits in our lives. But I was up 5:15 this morning, as I always am. I have been reading for 1 hour, the right books, 45 minutes. I prepared for this little 22-minute session. I had time alone. Then I squeezed in a 20-minute high-intensity workout with my family. Then I had a shower, and then I'm doing this meeting right now. And the day has not even started. And many people will look at what you just heard and say, wow, this person has a lot of self-discipline. And some people are clapping their hands. Thank you for that. But that's not at all my point. My point is not for you to be impressed with what I've done so far today and what I'm going to do so far tomorrow at the same time and the day after. My point is very different. My point is that is not self-discipline, what you just heard. That is good habits. And I'm going to explain how it takes, yes, discipline to set a new habit initially, but it takes less self-discipline to maintain it later. Now, one very important part about setting habits is being part of a group of like-minded people. And that's why we came up with this concept of running this 4 for Life community, because we realized that when we were trying to achieve results with people one-to-one, it was harder for those people, than it would be if we were part of a small group. And now it has grown to a large group. We have almost 500 people on this community. But this is what the world's top expert on habit formation, in my opinion, James Clear, says about how to set habits. It's a whole book, 200 pages. I've read this book 4 times on habit formation. Just listen to this one paragraph in this book. He speaks about what is the best chance of setting new positive habits. And he says, and I'm quoting, one of the most effective things you can do to build better habits is to join a culture where 1, your desired behavior is a normal behavior, and 2, you already have something in common with the group. Wow, you join a culture or a community where people think the same way. there are hundreds of people in this community who want to change their life. 65% of you said, I want to change my life. I want to change my health. I want to take steps to make my life different. And now we are in a culture of people doing the same thing. And we pull each other and we help each other up, even if we don't even speak to each other face to face. It's weird how this works. It's almost like an unseen dynamic. Many studies have been made on association, power of association. And those studies have over and over confirmed that you pretty much are like your 5 or 6 or 7 closest associations, meaning the 5 people you are most in touch with every day on WhatsApp, calling, family members, friends. If they are overweight, you are likely to be overweight. If they are having horrible financial situation, you're also likely to have a horrible financial situation. And it's not because that is kind of a virus that goes to you, but it is almost like a virus because you get exposed to wrong thinking and negative thinking all the time. If you are having friends who are positive, expectant, helpful, generous, expectant about life, good values, you are likely to have good values yourself. So being part of a group of like-minded people is actually one of the first, Vinay is writing here in the chat box, birds of a feather flock together, and it really is true. So when you look at people who are disciplined, to get back to that, you see people who have developed good habits. Now, let me speak about the word self-discipline, because I know that is a scary word for many people. And we hear that word self-discipline. And what is the first thought that comes to your mind? Many people will immediately say, that's not me. I wish I was self-disciplined. I wish I had self-discipline. That's what most people would say. That's the initial reaction most people have. And then we think about other people who seem to be self-disciplined. And, you know, when we see those people, in reality, we see people who have just been self-disciplined long enough to develop positive habits. Now, I'm going to just bring up something here on the screen. Think about this statement. Freedom is being able to do whatever you want. I believe that's true. In a sense, we live in India. It's a free country. There is religious freedom. There is political freedom. There is freedom of speech. You can actually almost do whatever you want within the limits of the law in terms of these things, that you're free to believe what you believe. And that's a beautiful thing. Now, the problem is that media, wrong ideas about success, social media especially, has perverted this idea of what freedom actually is. And freedom to most people means that you can do whatever you want. We look at people on social media who are successful, and they seem to be able to do nothing and be happy. Now, and we kind of feel envious, and we look at, oh, wow, I would also like to be able to stay in hotels like that, do nothing during the day, have people, you know, combing my hair in the morning, not doing anything on my own, watching TV as much as I want. And that's freedom to most people. But in my opinion, that's not freedom. Freedom is not to just be able to do whatever you want. Freedom is to be able to do whatever you want, but freedom is not to do whatever you want. I have an 11-year-old, and for a long time, now it's too hot, that we used to go out running in the mornings with our 11-year-old and our 9-year-old. And, you know, we did 3-4 kilometers with them, of course, not pushing, but just to move and to set this habit of doing some uncomfortable things first thing of the day and stay physically fit. And, you know, sometimes our children complain, not sometimes, very often, especially in the beginning. And we used to run, and my 11-year-old used to tell me, I can't wait to turn 18. I said, why? Because then I can stop doing this and I can do whatever I want. I'm going to buy a big fridge, fill it up with whatever I want. I'm going to have a big TV. I can do anything I want then. I said, it's true. You can do anything you want. But the question is such a person free? Is that freedom? You know, if you think about an extreme example of freedom, you know, a person is free to have bad habits. A person is free to smoke cigarettes. There's no law against that. We know it's bad, but you're free. A person is free to drink alcohol. I mean, you all can think about someone who is addicted to alcohol. I'm not speaking about someone who is a social drinker. I'm speaking about someone who has got an addiction and they wake up in the morning, I need a drink. Now, is that person free to do whatever they want? Sure, they're absolutely free. But are they really free when their habits and their bad behaviors and their instincts kind of controls them to do things that they don't even want to do themselves? in my opinion, that's not really freedom. I spoke to a person on the previous 4 for Life community we had, 2 weeks ago. And it's a great guy. He's actually in this community now, and I'm not going to give his name. But 2 days into the community, I asked him how he was doing. And he said, I can't get up in the morning and exercise. I said, why? He said, because I'm binge watching Netflix at night. And I mean, sorry to say, I did not know what binge watching means. I know I'm kind of Stone Age. What does it mean to binge watch? Binge drink, I understand. Binge eat. So I can, okay, I get an idea about binge watching TV means. Is that like one movie? I asked him, what does it mean? He said, I said, do you watch like a whole movie at night? He said, no, like 3. That's 6 hours of movie watching. He said, so what should I do? I can't get up in the morning. I said, that's a really good question. Let me think about it. Can you kind of come up with a solution to what you could possibly change to get up earlier in the morning and do your morning exercise and start the day right? And he said, oh, I don't know. We spoke the next day again and I asked him, do you know what you need to do to change to get up early in the morning? And he was like, no. And finally, I couldn't resist. I told him, solution is, listen to this, absolute wisdom based on decades of experience. I'm sure you could not have come up with this yourself. You're binge watching TV at night. You don't feel good about it. You cannot wake up in the morning. While you binge watch TV, you end up eating things you don't want to eat and you should not eat because it's become a habit as well. So what should you do? Let's really reason about this. Maybe you could go to some psychologist or consultant who could give you and pay the money so they can tell you this answer. But I will do it free of cost. The solution is stop watching 3 movies at night. Okay, that's great advice. So now we put him out of the last community because he missed too many days. We honestly don't want people who drag down the community. We want people who are serious enough to do these 4 things on a daily basis. But he has not joined this community and he has overcome this thing. But was he free with this habit of watching TV every day? Is that freedom? Is that being free? No, that's being a slave, in my opinion. That's not freedom at all. So freedom is this to me. And I'm going to share a slide that I think is beautiful. And this is kind of what I base my life in. Discipline equals freedom. When you are disciplined, you are free. When you are disciplined, you end up setting habits that are constructive and positive and life-changing. That changes your thinking, and your thinking changes how you live, and how you live changes your physical being, and it changes your relationship around you. It changes your ability to make money. It changes your ability to delay or even avoid sickness. Discipline equals freedom. So now I've got 5 minutes left of this talk, and I'm going to go through some things that are important because this was like a long intro, okay? But I want to say discipline is a good word. That's my point. Discipline, self-discipline is not a bad word. Self-discipline is a beautiful word because self-discipline makes you free. You are free when you use your free will that God has given you, your mind, your power to choose between right and wrong, good and bad, light and dark, unhealthy food, healthy food, exercise, not exercise, reading good books or watching TV. You are free when you use your free will to exercise good decisions. You are not free when your bad behaviors and bad habits control you. So number 1, be in a community, be in a group of people where the desired habits or behavior is the behavior you want. I want to be with healthy people. I want to be with positive people. I want to be with people who are grateful and happy, and not people who are the opposite. That's step 1. Step number 2 is this. When you look at the role of discipline in achievement, and now we are speaking about health on this 4 for Life community, but when you look at the role of self-discipline, as you can see here on this graph, the effort initially is very high. You need self-discipline to start exercising a little bit every day. You need self-discipline to say no to some things on your dinner plate that are not good. You need self-discipline, honestly, to sit down for 2 minutes every day and think about 3 things that you were grateful for in the day that just passed. It takes self-discipline to do that initially. Now, do you need self-discipline to brush your teeth in the morning? No, but you needed it at some point. There was some point where your parents had to stand over your shoulder and force you to pick up that toothbrush, and it became a habit. So you need a lot of discipline in the beginning, and then the role of discipline diminishes and becomes less and less. And at some point you have a sweet spot. You can see that red star, where all of a sudden you no longer need much discipline to make it going. I need no discipline to exercise in the morning almost. I don't need any discipline to eat right at night anymore, because it's become a habit. It's not, some people are better than others. Some people are born with this gift of discipline. No, some people developed smart, constructive habits. And this is what happens. We are speaking about these things in our community, but I don't have time to go through that. You all know it. Here is the whole point of today's 22 minutes morning talk. When you practice good, small, easy to do things every day. Now, things that are easy to do and things that are easy not to do. You don't get much results in the beginning, but you get the compounded effect later. Now, when you make small bad decisions in the day, things that seems like it doesn't have an impact, it seems like it doesn't matter. It's like, you know, that samosa is offered to you and you say, hey, just today. And then in the office the next day, the same guy offers you the same samosa. And then all of a sudden you keep making those decisions and you have eaten 1,000 samosas over the next 3 years. And small errors in judgment leads you down on that red curve. And I call it the disaster curve, because the initial impact on bad decision is so small, but it compounds once you start to make it a habit. You take things like, I hate exercise, so you don't exercise. What's the impact of that for 1 day or 1 week or 1 month? No impact, nothing happens. You're still on this curve in the beginning. You and the person who exercises, there is no difference. But later, what about the person who has a bad habit in their life like this? It makes no difference for the first 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. But then after 15 years, all of a sudden it is heart issues, tumor, lung cancer, whatever it might be. It was small errors in judgment over a long period of time. We speak about protein deficiency. And why do I put protein deficiency alongside something like this? Because protein deficiency is something that are right on this curve. 90% of people are protein deficient. They don't get enough protein. And the problem is that it seems like it doesn't matter. It seems like it's okay. I feel good. My neighbor it's a healthy, balanced, protein-rich diet. And if you're vegetarian, you can get protein from plant source. And it seems like it doesn't make a difference. But the problem is, over the next 10 years, you are on the red curve. And you can just reverse this and look at good habits the same way. We have this habit in our community, in another community that we run on personality growth, that we say, read 10 pages from good books every day, 10 pages. And, imagine doing that for, like I have, for 10, 15, 20 years. You have read thousands of books if you do 10 pages a day. So small daily decisions practiced over and over again puts you up on this curve. Now, here's my final point, and then we are through for today. Now we are part of this community. Now you're kind of on it and you're doing your part. Every day is a link in an 8-day chain you're building. Don't break the chain. Focus on the small behaviors and habits every single day. And the only idea with this 8-day community is that we are together as a team, and you have an accountability partner who is in touch with you, hopefully, or you are in touch with them, even better, because your success is not their responsibility. And you work together as a team, and you are in a group of people who are positive, and that helps you to start setting those habits for long enough that your self-discipline, which is weak right now, and these are not yet habits, you have a chance to start to set these habits. 8 days of exercising self-discipline, the effort is high initially, but then it gets simpler and simpler. So I'm going to do another session, maybe towards the end of this community, maybe after the community, but you can be invited for that. And I'm going to do a session on how to set new habits, laws of habit formation, how to get rid of bad habits, and how to set new constructive habits. But I don't have time for that today because I promised 22 minutes. We are on 20 minutes and 30 seconds right now since I started. So I'm actually going to wind up on time.